In 8th grade section 10.1, we're dealing with squares and square roots. So the square root is basically, if you think what number multiplied by itself is 144. So 12 times 12, 12 multiplied by itself gives me 144. So the square of 12, 12 squared equals 144. The square root is the opposite, right? I'm trying to figure out what two numbers multiplied by itself gives me 144. So I work backwards, which gives me 12. So the opposite of a square is a square root. When I square root it, this right here is called the radical sign. That shows me that I want to square root 144. That means I want, I need to divide it by a number that when I divide it, it gives me the same number. So on this one, it says find each square root. So basically, the first one is asking me to find what two numbers when multiplied together gets me 64. Well, 8 times 8 gets me 64. So the square root of 64 is 8. Right? On this one, I have the negative square root. Okay? Basically, 121 is 11 times 11. So this is the same thing as just 11. So every pair on the inside gives me 1 on the outside. So my answer is negative 11. The other one, this plus or minus on number 3 tells me basically I'm representing two numbers. Okay? The square root of 256. Why does the number not come? Square root is 16. So the square root of 256 is 16. So this represents positive 16 and negative 16, so two answers. What that means is 16 times 16 gives me 256, but negative 16 times negative 16 also gives me 256. So that's this one right here. Now number 4 is a little tricky because the square root of 9 would be 3, because 3 times 3 gives me 9. But the problem is there's a negative inside. Now this one had a negative on the outside, but when there's a negative on the inside of the radical sign, this is no solution. Okay? Now, number 5, there's not a perfect square, so you're going to be using your calculators, and you should have a sign that looks just like that. It's the 2 root right there. Okay? And so we would do 57 to the square root, which gives me, and it wants me to round to the nearest tenth, so it's 7.54, so that is 7.5. All right? So make sure you can identify where your square root is in your calculator. Try page 558, numbers 2, 3, and 8, 558, numbers 2, 3, and 8. I will see you in class.